Hey everybody, it's Audrey. Thanks for stopping by for day 2 of the Summer Scrappin series. Today, my guest joining me is Hannah Lemieux. Please go check out her channel, which I have linked below, and she has a fun summary process video to share with you as well. So I am also using a file for Confessions of a Paper Addict today. And this file is actually called Sunflowers, but I thought they could really be any kind of flower, so I'm going to make them into some daisies today. And actually, as I was using this file, I thought that they would actually make kind of cute Christmas wreaths as well. You could like back the petal parts with some green and make them into little wreaths. So I have sized the file to the size I want for my page. I'm going to make it take up the whole page. And I wanted a couple extra daisies, so I didn't want to cut the whole file again and use a whole sheet of paper. So I am just going to erase a couple of the daisies that I don't want. I'm using the eraser tool, and I'm erasing a couple of the daisies that I don't want, and some of the smaller ones I'm going to keep there. And you'll see I'm trying to delete some of the extra little lines that don't get erased, and I'm going in with my eraser a little bit. Now, some of the areas, when I cut it like this, when you erase the lines like this, they are still stuck to the background paper. They're not a clean cut, but I just snip them off with scissors, and unfortunately I don't show you that in the video when I took it off the mat. But this is the file, and I'm going to kind of put those all together in one file and cut them. I'm also making a circle. I was measuring the inside of the circle, and that's where I'm going to put my photo. So then I went to Photoshop, and I draw I draw circles the exact same size as the inside of the circles were in the cut file, and then I fiddle with my photos to get them in the circle, and my picture will fit perfectly inside the center circle. I do have a video tutorial on how to take your photos and make them fit inside a shape, which I will also link below. I did it a couple years ago. So an easy way to get your photos in a particular shape and size. So here's a tool I haven't used in eons, and that would be my embossing folders. I thought that I would back the cut file, since I'm cutting it from white paper and I'm going to back the daisies with white. I thought I just wanted a little bit more interest to what's going to be in the petals of the daisies. So I am going to use some embossing folders that have collected a lot of dust. So I couldn't tell you the last time I used an embossing folder. I have quite a few, so I just went through, picked out some ones. I don't use a lot of these things that I'm embossing. I end up sticking with this one it's kind of like a damask pattern, but so pretty. And then I'm going to do the same thing with a different embossing folder for the center of the daisies, and I thought this kind of polka dot embossing folder would kind of give a nice texture to inside the circles. So here's my cut file, and here are my my embossed pieces of paper, pieces of cardstock, and I'm going to trace these circles. I'm going to start with the circles, and I'm going to trace those, and I'll just cut out around them, and I will glue them to the back. Now remember, the large daisies I'm actually going to back with my photos, so I don't need to fill those large daisies with yellow center. And I'll just cut those out. I'm not going to show you all these. There's quite a few daisies. It did take me probably a good hour to do this. It takes a lot longer than I always think to back this. I thought, oh, this will be quick because I'm doing it all in one color. Well, 2 colors, and I don't have to fussy cut every little petal, but it still takes a long time. And it was kind of hard with my pencil to kind of go over the embossed areas. So, but yeah, it worked out fine. It just took a little longer than I expected. So I'll just show you this one small one. And this one I cut wrong. Instead of cutting inside the line, I had cut outside the line, so I have to trim it down to make sure it fits correct. So I was learning as I was going along here. Okay, so there is the one flower. I love it, and I'll just show you a couple snippets of what I do here. So I thought I thought I maybe want to add even something a little bit more detail. So I'm going to go through and add some darker yellow ink on top of the yellow there. So there were some shots of some steps within that process. Like I said, it took a while, but I love the way that this came out. I loved using the texture, the embossing powder, or not embossing powder, the embossing folders to make those leaves just kind of a little bit more interesting. So you can see my photos there, that they fit perfectly with inside the circles. And I'm going to glue those to the back in a minute here. I didn't like not having yellow in the center of these two bigger flowers, so I just went along the inside edge with a yellow Sharpie, and then I kind of went over it with a little bit of yellow ink just to kind of make that center pop out a little bit more. So I will glue these two photos in there, and I love that. So I have already gessoed this piece of pattern paper with some clear gesso. I didn't want to use white because my cut file was white, and I really don't have any pattern I'm trying to blend out or whatever. And I really wanted the contrast of the green, just kind of to make it look like a field, and these daisies were popping up in a field. I'm going to go over with some Distress Oxides in different shades of green. Just add some splatters there. And I'll dab that off. And then I just go through, so what are these two colors? One of them is Citron, and the other one is maybe called Mowed Lawn or Mowed Grass. Something like that. And then what else? There's another couple other colors I use. I go over this with my heat gun a couple times, and I use the Cracked Pistachio, which is right here, which I love this color. And then I go with just some white splatters as well. So a few white, just to pick up the white in the daisies. Okay, while that's drying, I thought that I needed some leaves for my daisies, and I already had my Big Shot out, so I'm going to use some dies. And I thought instead of using a cut file, I have some really pretty leaf dies. I have a ton of leaf dies actually. So I'm just going to use a couple different shapes here and different colors of green. I noticed I had never used these ones before. These are from Concord and Ninth. So those are really pretty. Love the details in those. I do have to punch out some of the insides though, as you can see. So there's a couple. Those ones are pretty, and I cut out some others. I have the other leaves I have there are from Waffle Flower Crafts, and there's all the different leaves I cut. And you can see my background is finally dry. Oh, see on my cut file there, I accidentally have a little splatter of green. Oh, that made me so mad. So I'm going to go over it with some white paint and do a little cosmetic surgery here. So that's okay, that's not too bad. It could be worse. I think you'd have to really look closely to see that now, that there was a smudge there of color, but it worked out just fine. So this cut file obviously has a lot going on because it has texture, it has depth, it has strong contrasting colors, it takes up pretty much the whole page. So I'm really not going to do much more to embellish this than just to add the leaves around. And I really am glad I'm glad I used the different color greens. To be honest, I cut them all in different colors at first because I didn't know which green I was going to use, and then I decided to use all the different greens, and I really like what that does for the page. Okay, so as far as embellishments go, I searched and I wasn't really sure, do I want to bring in some other colors, you know, like a pop of orange or a pop of blue, and I decided that I wasn't going to. I'm just going to stick with the yellow and white because I think it really gets the point across. These are about daisies, and go with the green field in the background, and that's it. So I just found some other black and white elements. A journaling card in the bottom left that came from a Pink Fresh Studio collection. I think it was called Simple and Sweet or Sweet and Simple. Some black and white thickers, and then these alphas, which are super cute. I love these. These are from Freckled Fawn. I love the skinny, wonky letters. Awesome. And I have a little black and white heart on my one photo, and this black and white strip here. So I just wanted to kind of have that diagonal flow across the top. And now is gluing time. So I'm going to just stick all those leaves. I'm going to leave the cut file where it is for now because I know I want to pop it off. So I'm just going to work on gluing all the leaves down. And I hate, like, oh gosh, I hate when I lay this all out and I don't glue, you know, anything to start, and then it gets moved, or it's not exactly the same way it was when I started, so that drives me crazy. Okay, so I think that's pretty much done. Oh yeah, these, I have found that when you have clear gesso, whenever I use clear gesso, if you have something that's self-adhesive, it does not stick, like thickers or even the skinny letters I had to end up gluing down because they do not stick well at all. I almost always have to use a liquid glue and a tape runner exclusively because it just doesn't work otherwise. I'm going to use this craft foam to cut some circles for the background. I mean, you don't have to cut circles, you could just use square shapes, but, and you can see I'm just cutting these wonky circles. So I will back all of those. So really quick, the photos here are obviously of my goofy daughter with the flowers in her eyes, and we have this at our one place where we go in the summer on our weekends at the river. The hill of our house is just covered with daisies, and we spend a lot of time weeding it every year. The Shasta daisies that kind of can grow out of control if you don't keep them in check. So the kids always like to pick them though and do the he loves me nots, and they try to make perfume from it, which does not smell very good, and other uses, as you can see here. So yeah, I just thought these photos were cute. And she was actually helping me weed the garden, so I do appreciate that. Okay, popped up everything. What else am I gonna do? Oh yeah, a little sparkle. I've been on such a sequin kick lately. I think all of my pages lately have had sequins on them. So I picked out these ones from Spiegel on Scraps, which ironically were called Pocket Full of Posies collection. And then I picked out these other kind of, they're a little bit more orangey from Studio Calico, and I just liked the tiny bit of contrast those added. And that is it. That is the finished page. So this page just really has that cut file stand out and the main element of the page. I love all these layers here and all these details in the close-ups where you can see the embossed layers and the popped up layers and the details in the leaves and the mixed media. So much fun. Lots of fun things to try. I hope you break out your embossing folders if you haven't used them in a while and this inspires you to do so. And any of the other products you haven't used in a while. Be sure to go check out Hannah's channel and see her summary page today as well. And thank you so much for stopping by for day 2. Stay scrappy, my friends.